Hey, it's Dre. I am coming to you with part one of a three-part mini-series on how to crochet hexagons. On part one, I will be showing you how to make a solid hexagon. On part two, I will also show how to make half hexagons both ways. And on part three, I will be showing you on how I join my hexagon. As you can see here, I have a simple piece. I still have my ends. I will show you at the end of the video how I weave in my ends, and we are going to get started right away. I have a 6mm hook that I'm going to be using. I have a pair of scissors that I'm going to have on standby, and I also have a sewing needle for weaving in my ends. I am using the Mainstays basic yarn. The color is gold. It's a worsted weight, medium 4. Recommended hook size is a 5.5, but I will be using a 6. So let's get started. You can start your hexagon by either using a magic ring or you can do the chain 4 method. If you don't know how to do those, I would advise you to pause this video, excuse me, and look up how to do a magic ring or how to make a starting ring for an end around project. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and make my magic ring. It's kind of hard the way I'm sitting. But it looks like I got it done. I'm gonna try that again. It's okay to have some on-cam bloopers, right? That's what makes it unique. So let me do that again. There we go. All right. Bring that a little slack in that. I don't want to struggle on camera tonight. So that's one chain already made, and I am going to make 2 more. So before I continue on, this chain 3 will always count as a stitch from the starting point until you finish your hexagon. So I've made 1 double crochet. Now I'm going to make 1 more double crochet. And if you don't know how to do a double crochet, I'm going to explain it one time and I'm going to continue on, okay? So if you're not familiar with the double crochet, please go look up how to make a double crochet. So I yarn over, and as I've yarned over, I go inside of my magic circle after I've yarned over and I pull up a loop. I yarn over again, I pull through the first 2 loops, I yarn over again, and I pull through the last 2 loops. Alright, so I have made 2 double crochets. Now, to continue, I need to chain 2. Now we're making a point or a corner. So after I've chained 2, I need to make 2 more double crochets. So what are we going to do? We're going to yarn over, go inside of the magic ring or inside of the circle, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. You're going to yarn over again and pull through the second 2 loops. Okay, so I'm going to make 1 more double crochet. And now I'm going to chain 2. Now that I've chained 2, I have 2 groups of, or 2 clusters of 2 double crochets, and I need to do 4 more. So let's get started. I'm going to do 2 double crochets. Chain 2. 2 more double crochets. By now you should see your shape starting to form just a little bit. We will be finished with round 1 very shortly. I've made 2 more double crochets, so now I'm going to chain 2 again. I'm kind of weird when I hold my magic circle because I don't like to have it stretch out so far. So I'm going to make 2 more double crochets, and this is going to be my 5th set. I have to do 6 sets of 2 double crochets with 2 chain 2s in between each of the clusters. All right, so let's take a brief look. That's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We know a hexagon is 6-sided, so I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to do my 6th set of 2 double crochets. All right, so round 1 is complete. So in order to end round 1, what you want to do now is you want to take your tail, if you have a magic ring or if you made a small circle, you want to take your tail and cinch your ring. All right, I have cinched my ring, and now I am getting ready to slip stitch to join this round. But before I slip stitch, I need that 6th point, I'm sorry. So I have number 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have the 5th one right here. So in order to make number 6, I need to chain 2. So I chain 2, and I go into the top of the 3rd chain, and that'll be right there. So I go up under both of those loops to slip stitch. Give me just a moment. I will get it very shortly. All right, I got it under those 2 loops. I find it very much neater when you go under both loops of the 3rd chain to slip stitch versus going under one, because it leaves a gap. I normally start my rounds with a mock double crochet, but for this pattern I will do the chain 3 because it's much easier. Let me snip that tail, it was a little too long. So I have finished round 1. You should have 6 points, and each point will consist of having a cluster of 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets. You should do that 6 times, and you should have a total of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 double crochets with 2 chains in between the 2. So remember, it's clusters of 2, chain 2, cluster of 2, chain 2, cluster of 2, chain 2, and you do that 6 times. And remember, when you get ready to end your row, you chain 2 and slip stitch to the top of the 3rd chain to join. So let's continue on to row 2. And to do row 2, you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. After you chain 3, you want to do 1 double crochet in the next available chain space, or space, however you prefer to say. And now I am at a peak of the hexagon. So to do a peak, you will always do 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, 1 double crochet. You have successfully made a peak on round 2. So now that we've done the corner or the peak space, now we're going to go up the hill, and we have 2 spaces to make double crochets. So we're going to go into those spaces and make 1 double crochet in each one. So now we are back at a peak space. So we're going to make 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet. Now we're back on a heel, and up the heel there are 2 double crochets that we can make our double crochets into. So let's go 1 double crochet and another single double crochet. Now we're back at a peak space, and in the peak space we know we do 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 double crochet. See how easy it is? It's so simple, and you're only increasing by 1 stitch on each round. So I'm back on a heel, and I have 2 spaces to make double crochets. I'm back at a peak space, and what do we do in our peak space? We make 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 more double crochet. So let's take a brief moment to pause and see what we are doing. As you can see, our hexagon is increasing. We started off with 2, and now one side has 4, the other side has 4, and the other side has 4. Each round increases into the peak space. Each peak space gets 1 double crochet, 2 chains, and 1 double crochet. Then you proceed to double crochet in any available spaces until you get to the peak space. So we have done 1, 2, 3, 4 peak spaces. Now we're working back up a heel with 2 double crochets. I'm back at a peak space, 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 more double crochet. Now I'm back up a heel. So I'm going to finish this by doing 2 double crochets in the available spaces. And to finish round 2, you are going to do 1 double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet. Now we are back at the beginning of round 2, and this time you don't have to chain 2 to finish off. You're going to slip stitch into the top of the 3rd chain to complete row 2. So let's do that. And I'm going to do 1 more round, and I'm going to start another round actually, and then I'm going to show you how I weave in my ends. As the hexagon continues to increase, your starting chain will move, but it will not be as noticeable as you would think. So just be mindful to slip stitch into the top of the 3rd chain when you are joining each round. I do chain 3. If you prefer to chain 2, that's totally up to you. So we're going to begin with row 3 by chaining 3. And to proceed on row 3, we have more spaces now. So we have 2 double crochets that we're going to do first to begin, because the last double crochet will be at the end of the row after you've done peak number 6. You'll double crochet here and join to the top of the 3rd chain. So I am at a peak again with 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 more double crochet. Alright, I'm going to do a few more stitches with you. Now that we're on a full side, we have 4 double crochets that we have to go into. We've already done the corner space or the peak space, and when we come back to the end of the other peak space, or the next peak space, that will be a total of 6 double crochets on each side. So we're going to double crochet in these 4 available stitches. We are at a peak space. What do? 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 double crochet. So I'm going to do 1 more heel and 1 more peak, and we're going to end the video. So I have 4 double crochets, and now I need to do 4 double crochets until I get to my peak. Now I'm at a peak space. I do 1 double crochet, chain 2, 1 more double crochet. Alright, so as you can see, round 3 is shaping up pretty nicely. I hope that I am giving good instructions on how to make this hexagon. And now I am going to show you how I weave in my ends. So I've already done this hexagon, and I've slip stitched to join, and I make a chain 1 and I pull it all the way through. Only for the sake of this tutorial, all of my other hexagons I did not, pull through because I had to add black. So how I sew in my top piece, I go behind this chain 3. If you can see that chain 3, I go into the first back bump of the chain 3 and I pull through. I go into the second back bump of the chain 3 and I pull through, and I go right into that third loop that you see at the bottom, and I go right through there. And as I'm going through that third loop, I'm also going through my double crochets to weave in my end. My first choice was to use this color to do my tutorial, but the flash is so bright it makes it nearly impossible to see my chain spaces or my chain stitches when I'm slip stitching to join. So as you can see, I am just weaving my way through. I weave in, as much as I can, because I know it's not gonna come out. So I just do a pretty good, length of weaving in, just in case anything ever happens. And as you can see, I have weaved in that end. It's not as noticeable as my other piece, because I did it a little bit smaller and I used the same hook and got a different result because of my tension. So after you've cinched your circle of your hexagon, I go into the stitches of the beginning round and weave in my ends. I go around at least 2 times. So I start right there at that chain 3 and I just work my way through each set of 2. I just work my way through. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you complete a solid hexagon. So let me explain to you what happens. On round 1, you start with 2 double crochets. On each round, it increases by 1. So by round 2, once you've done your peak space, you've added 2 more double crochets and you get the 4, so forth and so on. On round 3, you get 6, and on round 4, you get 8. So as you continue to go around, your stitch count will increase. If you would like, you can do 2 double crochets, 2 chains, 2 double crochets if you want your hexagon to grow. I like for mine to be just a little bit neater, so I opt out to do the 1 double crochet and 2 chains. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for part 2. Have a good evening.